iPhone 5 charger.
We played Germany June 30th.
Can I borrow it, please?
J.A., why don't you just come out here?
Yeah, J.A., come out. Come out, J.A.
Stop tricking off.
Thank you.
Tuesday the 30th.
Hey, J.A.
Oh, so this is the semifinal.
I think
How's
he
it
just
going,
threw
you
that at you.
scrub? What?
I think he just threw that in your direction. So we just plug it into here, right?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, where's the USB?
Flip this. Trust.
It's all about trust.
Oh, it's wicked dark. Oh, now it's okay.
Yeah, it's wicked light. What are you talking about?
Damn it.
I was trying to get the light away from my face.
What the fuck is that?
It's my computer accepting and unaccepting the iPhone 5 times in a row. Okay, that's better.
All
I'm
right.
desperately trying to think of a wild card topic, but nothing's coming to mind.
Yeah, we had all those wildcard topics last week. And now there's none this week. But all right, then let's get it going.
Give Sean a second. He's pulling up some links.
Yeah.
Okay.
ESPN Insider is the worst thing ever.
Or the paywall.
Yeah, it's just dumb.
All right.
I shouldn't have to pay to know what Chad Ford thinks about
I know.
who the fucking Lakers drafted and whatnot.
Right.
I got that.
How many rounds are in the NHL draft?
It's still going on today. There's 7.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The Rangers made a couple of trades. And I'm only crazy about one of them, really.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get rid of Hagelin.
Connor McDavid.
So good. He's
Such an
so
Irish
good.
name.
It's Canadian
Yeah, he's Canadian, Irish.
instead of French Canadian, eh?
They're saying that McDavid and Eichel are basically going to be like the Magic and Bird of the NHL.
Well, I made like the comparison. Now, this may be a bad comparison, but I was like, McDavid and Eichel are like the Hall and Sagan draft a few years ago where you couldn't go wrong with either one of them.
I think these guys are way better than both of those two players, though.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I think Eichel's a stud. McDavid is so there's never been two guys like this in the NHL draft where it's just been like 1-2 like that. Like it happens in the NBA all the time, but like it doesn't really happen in the NHL.
Right.
No, Will Ferrell's punching a baby.
How did they do that? That's so realistic.
Pat calls Jack Eichel hockey Jesus.
Yeah, I know. I talked to him about that last night.
Yeah.
I can't believe Will Ferrell just punched a baby.
All right. So we're in the semifinals in the.
Yeah, against Germany.
Cool.
It's number 1 versus number 2 in the world.
Oh, so
Germany's number 1. We're number 2.
Australia and Japan and England and Canada are playing today. We should watch those.
Yeah, definitely.
2 o'clock and 4:30. These are Eastern times, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay.
See you on the TV
are we ready
at
to go?
16:30.
Yep.
Okay.
Poor J.A. Mexico didn't even make the World Cup. All right.
right, Cadillac to go to the Open. Oh yeah. You follow Big Crit?
Yeah, of course. I'm a man, aren't I?
And then King of South for the outro.
Okay, cool.
Alright. Now balling on the city life. Alright, ready, Ethan?
Yeah, it's been live for a while.
Okay, cool.
Alright. Welcome to another episode of the Sports Pulse. I'm Sean McNiff.
I'm Brian Brennan.
And I'm Ethan Winter.
And right now you're listening to Cadillactica by Big Crit off the same titled album, Cadillactica. I think that dropped a year or two ago. It was a great album, actually. Pretty much all of Big Crit's stuff is great. Great bass heavy, well thought out lyrics. The first item on our list, or on our menu, is the NBA draft, and more specifically the Knicks, just being the Knicks, and just picking horrible pick after horrible pick. They have Phil Jackson too, and well, everyone's saying they blew it. Nobody really knows, because nobody really knows if any
Porzingis,
18-year-old or 20-year-old or however old he is gonna pan out in a professional sporting league.
Yep.
So we just have to wait and see. Brian, you're the Knicks expert on this panel. What's your opinion?
Well, first off, I thought everything was going to, for once as a Knicks fan, I thought everything was going to go the Knicks' way, because this just never happens for us, where, everything seems to break. And when the Lakers took D'Angelo Russell at number 2, I really thought everything was going to go the Knicks' way. Because why would the 76ers take Jahlil Okafor when they already have, Joel Embiid, Nerlens Noel, all those guys?
Well, because it's Jahlil Okafor.
But why do you need another big guy? You've got 2 good young big guys already.
Hey,
Although the Celtics do have 10 point guards, and we'll get to that later.
But you don't need they didn't need Jahlil Okafor. They just drafted the best player available.
Yeah, you can't argue with that logic. In today's NBA, the more big men you have, the better.
But it's just like they needed what would have worked out perfectly in the NBA draft, honestly, would have been if the Lakers had taken Jahlil Okafor and the Sixers would have been able to get Russell. I feel like that would have made more sense. But the Lakers pick was really surprising to me. And of course, I was stoked when it happened, because I really thought the Sixers apparently were really high on Porzingis also. They thought he was really good too. And they wanted to draft him. That was the rumor that I had heard a couple days before the draft. And when they took Jahlil Okafor, they didn't take a necessity. They just took the best player available. And boy, did it hurt the Knicks. I mean, this Porzingis pick, everybody needs to – it's hard to explain, because you never really know with these foreign guys. And that's the problem here. The Knicks took a huge gamble when they needed to hit a home run. Instead of hitting a home run, they decided to play it safe. It's basically like bunting instead of hitting a home run. And they basically just played it safe. And they decided to go for the home run. They would, which would have been like Justice Winslow, or who was the other guy from Kentucky? What's his name?
Cauley Stein.
Cauley Stein, yeah. I know they, but which I think would have been 2 better picks than this guy. And really, they just decided to go with the foreign guy, and it just surprises me. I mean, Porzingis could, as Stephen A. Smith said on ESPN the other day, as this, interrupted his vacation, he said that, he could be a nice player. He could be big time in 3 years. But that's not what the Knicks need. The Knicks don't need somebody to be good in 3 years. Yeah. The Knicks need somebody to be good now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and to go with the baseball analogy again, Brian, is like they, instead of trying to stretch a single to a double, they just played it safe with the single.
They Alex Gordoned it.
Yeah.
They Alex Gordoned it. They just stayed at third base. They could have gone home. They stayed at third base.
Right, exactly.
And Phil Jackson, more and more, is looking overrated to me as a head coach, because you think, and not as a head coach.
Well, it's more as an executive.
Mind. As a basketball mind, I think Phil Jackson's powers have been greatly exaggerated. You think about it this way: he's won 11 championships as a head coach. You think he would have
overrated? You
think he
11 championships? He's so
well. Do you think he would have won any of those championships if he didn't have Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or Shaq?
Yes.
Scottie Pippen.
Yeah.
One of those loaded teams of all time. You give him the Knicks roster that has absolutely nothing other than Carmelo Anthony, and he's done shit with it. It's better off running a 7-Eleven right now. Probably fuck that up too.
Well,
leave the slushy machine on too long.
It's hard to put together a winning team with Carmelo Anthony taking out so much cap space and being Carmelo Anthony in general, just wanting the ball every single play. He wants to be what LeBron James was in the finals, and you just can't do that. You can't win games like that.
Well, I mean, Brian, I don't know if it was. I think it was either last year or 2 years ago, but this is when the Knicks were starting to suck again, and I was like,
again, when did they ever not suck?
Well, they made the playoffs for like a few years. Were pretty good, and this was like when they were.
You weren't really
after that.
I was like a baby.
Yeah, you weren't really alive back
then. No. I'm not talking.
No, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
And
you're talking about the year they were the number 2 seed somehow, miraculously. God damn, how terrible was the East if the Knicks were the number 2 seed?
But anyway, I was saying. Like this Knicks should just trade Carmelo Anthony to get like a high draft pick. And
I don't know if anybody wants Carmelo Anthony.
No, that contract is almost untradeable at this point.
Isn't that like the first thing Phil Jackson did was re-sign Carmelo Anthony?
I don't know if it was one of the first things he did.
I'm pretty sure.
But this was before he became a free agent.
Well, no, he became a free agent last summer, and everybody thought he was going to go to the Bulls.
Right, and this was before that when I told you that the Knicks should trade Carmelo Anthony.
I mean, it would have made sense, but I think he's kind of shown the type of person, teammate, everything that he actually is, especially this week. And you know what? Really, this past year as well, when you look at the fact that he decided to just sit out the rest of the season after the All-Star break. Maybe, I don't know if he decided it, but I mean, he could have played, I think. And then the recently with the draft, he's been very critical of the pick of Porzingis, and I think he's been trying to play it off as, no, I didn't say that, but he's trying to save face a bit.
Right.
But
I don't know why he's so upset with that pick, because Porzingis is 7'2" power forward.
Well, he's upset with the pick because he wants the Knicks to be better.
I mean,
this is his team.
Really?
Carmelo Anthony knows that the Knicks are his team.
I guess he would have wanted somebody American.
It doesn't matter. He wanted somebody better than that.
Yeah, I mean,
American, foreign, astronaut, alien, whatever.
Well,
I literally did not know or heard of the name Porzingis until yesterday, during the draft.
Yeah, nobody has.
I had no clue who the fuck this guy was.
Right.
And then I saw that the Knicks drafted him at number 4, and I was like, oh my God.
Brian must be.
And you know what's funny is that I was watching the rundown, and Kevin Clancy, the New York writer and a Knicks fan for Barstool, KFC, he was talking about the Knicks and the draft, and he brought up, just to watch, the Knicks are going to draft this Porzingis kid.
Yep.
And everyone's going to freak out, and the Knicks are just going to be the Knicks. And he literally predicted it.
Yeah.
I was laughing my ass off.
Right on the nose.
It's already time to just blow everything up. Phil Jackson needs to go. Derek Fisher really needs to go. He's been the coach for 1 year, and I'm already sick of Derek Fisher. I don't think he's an NBA head coach, and I don't think he takes his job seriously. I was actually looking on Instagram the other day, and Derek Fisher, he acts like a kid in high school on Instagram. He was posting throwback pictures to when he was on the Lakers. I was like, what? That just doesn't seem. Who does that? You're the coach of the New York Knicks. You don't play for the Lakers anymore. That just makes it seem like you don't even take your job seriously. And he probably doesn't because he's the head coach of the Knicks.
And the Knicks are a joke.
Yeah, the first thing the Knicks need to do is get rid of Carmelo Anthony and that huge contract and that huge ego-absorbing locker room presence. Second thing they need to do is just figure out how to build a good basketball team.
Yeah.
Look, if Donnie Walsh couldn't do it, Phil Jackson couldn't do it, all these guys.
Phil Jackson's in his second year,
and he's not doing it. Let's be real.
It's his second year. Like, we can't.
Why don't the Knicks just hire Patrick Ewing to be like
Rome wasn't built
their
in a day,
executive?
Brian.
Rome wasn't built in a day, but Rome. People weren't. There weren't Rome fans who have been fed up since 1973.
So now speaking of some bad drafts, and not necessarily bad, but interesting draft choices. Leading up to the draft, all you heard was the Celtics are going to package all these picks and jump up to number 3 or number 4, and that ended up not happening, and they ended up using all their picks. And for the most part, there were 2 picks that I liked. I liked the RJ Hunter pick, and
he got drafted in the first round, really?
Yeah, he was the 28th.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then the Celtics 33rd pick, Mickey. But
yeah.
TJ Rozier, or
you do know RJ Hunter's not going to pan out in the NBA, right? He's not going to be Seth Curry or Steph.
I mean, we'll see. I don't know, but
I mean, it's hard to be Steph Curry, but
yeah.
By the way,
and I don't think the Celtics are necessarily going to keep him, or I mean, honestly, the Celtics have 10 point guards or guards in general, so they're not going to keep all those guys.
Exactly.
But the kind of mind-boggling pick or head-scratcher pick for me was the Rozier pick at number 16, and I thought the Celtics should have either picked Sam Decker or Jerian Grant. Those were the 2 guys that I would have liked the Celtics to pick at 16,
and
not Rozier.
Speaking of Jerian Grant, the Knicks did end up getting him, and actually,
no, Wizards got Jerian.
No, the Knicks got him. And
I thought Grant got picked by the Wizards and he was traded to the Hawks or vice versa.
Oh, and then he got traded. And then he got traded to the Knicks for Tim Hardaway Jr.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
From the Hawks?
From the Hawks, yeah.
What?
Huh.
And
wait, what happened?
So Jerian Grant got drafted by the Wizards, and then he got traded to the Hawks, and then he got traded to the Knicks. So he played for 3 teams in the span of
One day.
Couple minutes, yeah. And that, on the other hand, is a move that I'm okay with as a Knicks fan, because I think Jerian Grant's going to be pretty solid.
Yeah.
And also, before we go on, I thought of a wild card topic.
Okay, what was that?
I'm sure you guys saw. I can't remember his name. The guy who got picked by the Lakers, who had that tweet about Kobe Bryant.
I saw that. I heard that.
A wild card topic.
Okay.
Because there's a guy on the Bulls too. The Bulls drafted a guy also who had a tweet that said "Fuck Derrick Rose, fuck Pau Gasol." Now he plays for them. He's gonna be playing with them. And then he tweeted something like, "I'm really sorry. I didn't mean any of that. I'm a man now." And then he tweeted Derek and Pau, what time do you guys want what kind of donuts do you want? Pretty funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, see Kelly Oubre, whatever, whitest name I've ever seen in my life. He's definitely white. Yeah, that was the trade, and then the Hawks traded. They flipped. What's his name for?
Dang, I like Jerian Grant too.
Yeah. I didn't think the Wizards had a very good draft.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting, and this is a perfect transition now to free agency, because you have LaMarcus Aldridge on. He's a free agent. You have Kevin Love is a free agent. Marc Gasol's a free agent.
Butler's
a free agent.
This is a very good free agent class.
Yeah. This is like you said, Brian, a stacked free agent class. And I think this NBA offseason is one of the few NBA off seasons that I'm actually going to pay attention to. Personally, because it'd be interesting to see what the Celtics do with all their point guards and trading them. And I know, Brian, you disagree with me vehemently about this, and we talked about this before, but
yes.
The Celtics, whether they get these players or not, is up to, we'll find out. But I expect the Celtics to at the very least be players in trying to get Kevin Love, Paul Pierce, or LaMarcus Aldridge. But
Sean, what made you just make that motion that you just did there?
Wait, what did? I didn't see.
Sean seems like confused by what the Wizards did.
I'm reading an article about how the Wizards traded. They drafted Jerian Grant with the number 19 pick, and they traded him for the number 15 pick in Kelly Oubre, and 2 other second-round picks. And he's 6'7". He's 20 years old, 6'7", 200 pounds, and averaged 9.3 points and 5 rebounds in his lone season with the Jayhawks, which doesn't really seem very good to me.
And isn't Kelly Oubre black?
What?
I just remember because Brian says he said Kelly.
No, that wasn't the name I was talking about. I was talking about somebody else.
Oh, okay.
No, he's black. And go back to.
Because I was gonna say Reggie Cleveland All-Star right there.
Go back to.
He does have a 7'2" wingspan, which is really good.
That's freaky.
That's great.
And if you look at what Chad Ford said about it, he said he's very young and his basketball IQ is low. If he puts the work, or if he puts in the work, a big if, he could become one of the best 8 or 9 players in this draft. So good luck with that.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Well, the Wizards do have a good locker room atmosphere, and they're willing to work hard as it takes to win a championship, which I think they'll do, which is the main reason why I think Kevin Durant will come to Washington. So it's all good. We're just picking Kevin Durant's backup. That's all.
Okay, then.
All right.
It's funny. I met a guy at the bar across the street from Camden Yards last night who we were just talking about sports for like an hour or so.
Well, was he as cool as the Red Sox fan from Cleveland?
Yeah, this dude was awesome. And he knew people from High Point, too, so that was cool.
Oh, that's nice.
And so, it was just awesome. Just a random dude I met at the bar. And we were talking about, because he was an Orioles, Ravens, Caps, Wizards fan. So I asked him, do you think Kevin Durant's coming? He said, 2 more years, baby. So Sean's not the only one.
Everybody in Washington.
Everybody in the Beltway seems to think that this guy's coming.
It kind of I have a feeling that this might end up being like a LeBron and the New York Knicks situation, in which everyone thinks he's going to New York, or in this case, Washington, but then he decides to go somewhere else.
Well, it's not the same at all, because Kevin Durant grew up around Washington, D.C.
That's true. Yeah. That is true.
It's different. LeBron was from Cleveland.
Christian. That's the school I was thinking of yesterday.
Oh, yeah. And he did play 1 year at Oak Hill, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would definitely, I would see Kevin Durant coming to DC if it all works out.
The Thunder. What do the Thunder have? They fired Scott Brooks. All they have is Russell Westbrook, who's a ball hogging point guard.
Yeah.
They have Serge Ibaka, who's all right at best. Who else do they have?
I mean, Ibaka's pretty good as a
Ibaka's okay.
But he's not like you don't build a team around him, and really you don't now like you don't build teams around centers or big men. Like now you build around small forwards and shooting guards and point guards.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah. Just get a couple great guards and a couple solid big men. That's what the Wizards are trying to do, I think, in there.
Right, and
they're making runs in the playoffs. I like it.
And the Cavs had Timothy Mozgov as their center, and he turned out this year being one of the best centers in the NBA. I mean,
that's sad.
I mean, this is a different NBA now. You don't have the Shaq, the David Robinsons anymore. It's just really you only need like an adequate big man, and you'll be all right.
And we'll see if the Lakers. Speaking of big men, we'll see if they. John Rice just sent me a picture of the rugby guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll let you know what it looks like later. But
I just got that. I just got that snap.
Anyway, crap, where was I? Oh yeah, the Lakers. They're now. A lot of people say that they're going after DeMarcus Cousins, and they might try and build around him. And he's a center, obviously. So we'll see if they possibly take that.
So speaking of DeMarcus Cousins, I know he's another guy that the Celtics are trying to target in a trade. But I mean, once again, we'll see what ends up happening.
Yeah.
I think if you have D'Angelo Russell, Kobe Bryant, and DeMarcus Cousins on the same team, that's not going to be a bad team.
No, yeah, that's a playoff team.
They're definitely not going to get the second pick next year.
No. I mean, this season was a doomed season from the Lakers to begin with. I mean, every team has crappy seasons. I mean, some of them have them more than others, like mine, but yeah.
I wonder when Kobe's going to retire.
They're saying this year. They're saying
after this year.
Yeah, he's getting old. Like, Lakers aren't doing so hot. He's getting paid buco bucks, but I don't know if that's worth it.
Yeah.
He already has buco bucks.
Yeah. Well,
another draft that took place. It's still taking place as we speak. Round 7 is today, I believe. NHL draft was earlier in the week.
Yesterday.
Yeah,
it started yesterday.
It started yesterday on Saturday. I think it's still going on today.
Yesterday was Friday, Sean.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Today's Saturday.
Draft was in
I forgot I worked yesterday. But yeah, the first 2 picks were as expected. Connor McDavid went number 1 overall to Edmonton. Kid from Canada. Jack, how do you say his last name?
Eichel.
Jack
Hockey
Eichel
Jesus.
went number 2 overall to Buffalo. Good old US of A kid from Boston University.
America! Fuck yeah!
Yeah, there are.
Damn to save the motherfucking day, yeah!
I'm sure this is similar to a past draft, but there aren't a lot of Americans in the first round, at least. I'm looking at it right now. There's not.
Well, I remember there's
not as many as there are in the NBA, I should say.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Oh, by the way, we just got a notification. Pierce is opting out of his contract.
Yeah, I just saw that too.
Yeah.
Let's come back to Boston. Let's go.
That's expected for him to opt out of his contract. He might come back to Washington. He might. I don't know though. He'll probably go to the Clippers. Probably not the Celtics.
Why? Why not? He spent most of his career with the Celtics. He won a championship there. The Celtics were the team that drafted him.
Who was his coach most of his career with the Celtics?
Yeah.
What?
Who was his coach most of his career with the Celtics?
Well, he won a championship with Doc Rivers.
Right, I mean, exactly.
Yeah, but like
Doc Rivers is in Los Angeles.
I know, but I mean, Brad Stevens is a better coach than Doc Rivers.
That's laughable.
That's
no, it's not. No, it's not.
That is definitely not true.
Dude, earlier.
I think Doc
are you
Rivers
kidding me? Doc Rivers is so overrated as a coach.
Wait, hold on. If you were 30,
there is no way that Doc Rivers would have brought this Celtics team this year to the playoffs. Brad Stevens did that. Brad Stevens is one of the best coaches in the NBA.
There's no way the Celtics team would be anywhere similar if Doc Rivers was still the coach. But if you were 35 years old, NBA veteran, one of the best in the league, and you could either play with a coach you've played with a lot for most of your career,
who's now in your hometown,
who knows you and who's an old school coach, like just like you
right.
like, or you could play with a young coach with a young, innovative mind who's changing a lot of things and doing things new ways, and you'd have to change a whole lot. Who would you go to?
Look, I mean, I'm not.
Don't say the Celtics. Look, that's not true.
Look, I'm not disagreeing with you that he could go to the Lakers or Clippers. I think he could go to the Clippers.
Your cat's behind you.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm just saying that. I mean, the Celtics. You can't count the Celtics out, especially with Paul Pierce.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely can't count the Celtics out,
right.
But they have just as much of a shot at getting Paul Pierce as the Wizards do, and I think the Clippers are the definite front runners.
Way more of a chance.
Honestly, I think it's going to come down to the Wizards, the Clippers, and the Celtics. In order, I would say the Celtics are ahead of the Wizards, and then
no,
I disagree.
I disagree.
I disagree with you. I disagree with both of you.
But think about it this way. He just had a great season in Washington.
Right.
They made the playoffs. He changed the locker room culture completely. All the fans love him. Why would he want to leave that?
Well, all the fans love him in Boston, too. And he would be coming back to them.
Yeah, but he'll be coming back to a bunch of new faces in the locker room.
Bunch of
kids.
He
doesn't want to do that.
Wow, Paul Pierce, I watched you in kindergarten.
He can do that in Los Angeles and get new faces, but they're all going to be veterans and they're all going to be superstars.
I mean, Los Angeles is an attractive option for Paul Pierce, but I think in terms of legacy now, I don't necessarily know how big of a factor this is going to play into Paul Pierce, but coming back to Boston would cement his legacy as a Celtic. I mean, his number will already be hanging next to Larry Bird's number in the rafters at some point. So why not just finish off your career in Boston with one more year? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Give him a ceremonial one-day contract when he retires. He's not.
I mean, that's what the Celtics will do if he doesn't come back to Boston.
And he's not going to do that in Boston anytime soon.
What?
So you might as well just do it. Yeah. If you got one more year left in his career, you might as well go to the best chance you have to win a championship.
But see, this is different. If Paul Pierce didn't win a NBA championship already, then yes, I would agree with you, Brian. But he already has won an NBA title with the Celtics, so I mean.
But it's always good to go out with a championship. Like, that'd be a fitting way to end his career. And he's not going to get that chance in Boston this year.
Wait, hold on. Were we talking about the NHL draft a minute ago?
Thank you. I'm so tired.
Yeah, but Brian.
I was just looking at the draft results, the NHL draft results. I'm like, wait a minute. Didn't I already introduce this? Why are we still talking about the NBA?
Blame Brian. He brought it up.
Well, I didn't think we were going to get into a huge debate about Paul Pierce and where he'd end up.
Well, Paul Pierce is going back to Washington, so argument over.
Can you talk about the Deflategate, please?
Get the fuck
God damn it, J.A. What the fuck?
Kill you if you ever say that again. I will kill you.
We're recording. Jesus. All right, back to the NHL.
All right. Do you guys have anything to say about it?
Okay. I actually have stuff to say about the NHL draft.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have no clue what the hell Don Sweeney is doing with the Bruins. Brian and I talked about this a little bit yesterday. But I just don't understand what he's doing. He's stockpiling all these draft picks. He traded away their best defenseman to Calgary, and apparently, like half of the league didn't even know Dougie Hamilton was on the block. So the Bruins could have gotten something better than the 15th pick or 16th pick or whatever, the first round pick this year and 2 second rounders this year. They could have actually maybe getting an actual player instead of just draft picks. And once they stockpiled all of their draft picks, they don't trade. They don't use them to trade up to number 3 or number 4 or whatever to draft Ryan Hannafin. Like what is the plan here on Causeway Street? Not just for the Celtics, but for the Bruins too.
I'm glad that
I just don't get it. Although I do like the Milan Lucic trade. I thought his time in Boston was done anyway. But and then he signs Adam McQuaid, who's an average defenseman, gets hurt all the time, to a 4-year, $11 million contract extension. Like Don Sweeney is trading away the wrong guys. And Chiarelli did this too when they traded Tyler Seguin. You don't trade. This is how you build a team. You don't build a team by trading away all of your young talent right when they're about to enter their prime. You trade away the aging veterans who are at the wrong end of 30 and on the down side of their career, or about to, but they're doing the exact opposite, and I just don't get it.
I like the Hannafin pick by Carolina. I thought that was one of the better picks, I think, in the draft. Obviously, 1, 2 were pretty obvious this year in the NHL draft. McDavid and Jack Eichel. Dylan Strome, I think, is going to be really good too, to be honest, out of the OHL. He got drafted by the soon-to-be not from Arizona Coyotes, and he's going to be a big part of their rebuilding process, I think.
Yeah.
Obviously, in whatever city these guys end up in. So we'll see what happens there.
And another thing is that apparently the Coyotes didn't even receive a trade offer from the Bruins to move up in the draft, which is confusing and mind-boggling to me. But obviously not a very good day or a good draft so far if you're a Bruins fan. Sean, the Caps, what's up with them?
They picked a goalie in the first round.
Really?
Russian kid. I mean, they have a bunch of goalies. I guess they're stockpiling them. I don't know. But I mean, it's a Russian kid. You can't really argue with picking a Russian. So I don't hate it.
And what about you, Brian?
Yeah.
As for me, I don't think the Rangers. I can't really see them on this first round here. I'm looking for them, but I can't find them.
Yeah, I don't think they had a first round pick.
Yeah, but they did make a couple of interesting
moves today.
Trades. Yeah, they made a couple of trades today. One of which I like, one of which I don't. I didn't like the fact that they gave up Carl Hagelin. Carl Hagelin's one of my all-time favorite Rangers. He's he's a really fast young player. I was really surprised that they let him go. I thought he fit the mold of this team really well. Everybody liked him. Even Matt Zuccarello posted on Instagram that he posted it. It was like a really sad, I'm going to miss you. Have fun on the beach in the West Coast. And I didn't really like that trade. The Talbot trade I liked a little bit more because Talbot is a really young, exciting goalie who was excellent when he filled in for Henrik Lundqvist. In fact, a lot of moronic Ranger fans wanted them to trade Henrik Lundqvist so Cam Talbot could be the star. Like, how dumb is that? I mean, just come on.
Yeah, I mean, in regards to Talbot, though, I mean, you could have kept Talbot just as a backup to eventually replace Henrik Lundqvist whenever he retires
but they've
or
got this kid
starts to actually
Stikinski who's in
sucks.
Hartford, who's really good.
Okay.
And yeah, he's not 100% ready yet, but he's good too. He was Talbot's backup when Lundqvist was injured, which was most of the season. So yeah, I like the Talbot trade. They were able to get 3 first-round picks out of it, or not first-round picks, but 3 draft picks out of it, which I like. I think the Rangers need to keep building up the farm system a bit. And I think the trade really works out for Edmonton as well, because Edmonton now is a very good young team. They got McDavid, they got Taylor Hall, they've got all these other really solid players, and now they've got a goalie to go along with it in Cam Talbot, who I think is going to become a star in Edmonton. I really think he's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, Talbot, I saw these numbers last year. He was 4th in save percentage in the entire NHL, which is,
yeah, he was.
I mean, really good. He was fantastic, and I think he was a big reason why the Rangers were able to be so successful last year in the regular season, even with Henrik Lundqvist out with injury.
He's a big part of the reason why the Rangers ended up with the President's Trophy last season. But at the same time, he had to go. Like, there's just it's one of those things. Like, you're not going to be the starter in New York anytime soon, so you got to go.
Right.
And honestly, I always thought Edmonton was going to be the team where he got traded to. They needed a goalie. They needed a young goalie as well, and that Talbot fits the mold in both cases.
Right.
And I think he's going to be great. I really, I said this kind of about the Timberwolves in the NBA, but I think eventually we're going to be looking at Edmonton as a really good team. You can't keep stockpiling high draft picks like this and then just suck. And they've got a lot of really good young players. I think this McDavid kid is just a beast. Like, there's no way this kid's not. Him and Eichel aren't going to be great. Meow.
Some breaking news into ESPN. Marlins, what is he, an outfielder?
Giancarlo
Stanton.
Juan Carlos Stanton, he's out 4 to 6 weeks with a broken hand.
Yeah.
According to Tim Kirchin, it's more bad news for the Marlins. They've never really been very good. I don't think they're ever going to be very good again.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is what the Marlins do. They'll win the World Series, which was in 2003, and then they'll just rebuild and sell everyone after they win the World Series, and it will take them about 12 to 15 years to rebuild. Because remember, the Marlins won the World Series in 1997.
Yep.
And then they sold everyone, and then they didn't win the World Series again until 2003.
Yeah.
Which actually, that's
not bad.
That's not bad. Only 6 years.
Yeah, still, they sold most of their players after that '97 championship team.
Yeah, but they're always up and down and up and down and up and down.
Right.
Fun fact: the Marlins have only made the playoffs twice. And they've never won the division, yet they have 2 World Series wins. I mean, you just can't make that stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's like a Tim Kirchin stat right there.
What'd you say?
That's like a Tim Kirchin stat right there.
Yeah, thank you. I felt my puberty voice coming back a bit there for a second.
But yeah, I mean that's a tough break for the Marlins. I think at this point, the Marlins, I know they just signed Giancarlo Stanton this year to a huge contract extension that will be difficult to move. But I think Giancarlo Stanton is one of the few guys that will actually be worth it to trade for, even with that huge contract.
That contract is one of a kind, though. I mean, it's $300 million. I mean, geez.
and obviously
that's
any
a lot of dough,
potential trade that the Marlins.
You can really only trade them to either New York, Boston, or Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That kind of contract.
And even then, it's just not going to happen.
But I mean, obviously, in any potential trade that the Marlins make of Giancarlo Stanton, if they do it, I mean, they're going to have to eat some of that money.
Well, yeah.
And
if anything, I would
right.
wait until after this season to trade Giancarlo Stanton.
Yeah.
See how much this injury, because Tim Kirkshin, I was actually watching SportsCenter this morning, said that bone that he broke in his hand, like, yeah, it takes 4 to 6 weeks to heal, but apparently you don't stop feeling the effects until a while later.
What bone did he break?
I'm not sure. Sean,
was it the hamate bone?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Okay, yeah. So, actually, a newly drafted San Francisco Giants prospect, Chris Shaw, he broke his hamate bone in this season for Boston College, and he was out for only 4 weeks though.
Right.
Which was really surprising that he was able to come back so quickly, but he had to like wear a special like hand guard or something that like forms around his thumb. And
I mean, Giancarlo's already got he's got the special helmet that like prevents his face from getting hit. So why not have a glove like that too?
But
yeah,
I mean, to me,
football pads as well.
To me, as a hitter though, I think I would much rather break my hamate bone as opposed to my wrist.
Oh well, yeah.
Yeah.
I think anybody would.
Right.
Not just a hitter. Like a normal human being wouldn't want to break their wrist.
Yeah, but because a wrist for a hitter, especially like Nomar broke his wrist in like 2001, and then he was never quite the same offensive player after that.
Right.
I mean, he was still a good hitter, but he never hit for the same amount of power and average. And also, I mean, I'm not naive. Nomar was probably had some help as well in his career.
Who didn't during that era?
Right, exactly. Which brings me to actually, this could be a wild card too. Pete Rose. I know it's not really a surprise, like that he was gambling on baseball.
Right. Why was that news?
As a player, which I don't understand why it was news. Like, yeah, you had evidence that he gambled on baseball as a manager, but like, if he gambled on baseball as a manager, you would think that he gambled on baseball as a player too. Like,
yeah.
You're like a gambler. You're not just gonna like start gambling like as soon as you're not a player anymore. Like,
exactly.
You've been gambling for forever, as long as you started gambling, obviously.
Right.
So, but shit. Where was I? Where was I going with this?
I mean,
okay.
Gambling is a. Go ahead.
Okay, I remember where I was going with this, but like, I feel like with steroid guys, if in terms of the Hall of Fame, if they had the numbers, and you could differentiate when they started taking steroids, probably started taking steroids, like with
I don't think you can do that though.
Barry Bonds. No, with Barry Bonds, like he was skinny with the Pirates when he came up in what was it, 89, and then when he went to the Giants in around 1997, 98, that's when he started taking steroids, according to Game of Shadows, which is
he was jealous of Mark McGwire.
Exactly, he was jealous of Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa, so that's why he started taking steroids.
He straight up told Ken Griffey Jr. that he was going to start doing this.
Yeah,
like there's actual evidence that he was at Ken Griffey's house, like having dinner. He was like, "I'm going to start pumping up."
But up until that point, Barry Bonds still had Hall of Fame numbers. So regardless, so I think if I was a voting member of the Baseball Hall of Fame, I would still vote for Barry Bonds to go into the Hall of Fame.
Would you vote for Pete Rose though?
I wouldn't.
For Pete Rose, it's kind of strange with him because Pete Rose, like, he has the most hits in baseball history. He's the Major League Baseball hit leader.
By the way, do you just want to make this the wild card?
Yeah, well, this will be the wild card. And so, but he also gambled on baseball and bet on baseball. But I mean, he claimed that he never bet on baseball, bet on his own team or in games that his team was playing in. But then again, he also said that he never bet on baseball as a player, which we now know is false.
Yeah, he lied.
But it's like kind of with like Shoeless Joe Jackson, I feel like a little bit, where Shoeless Joe is banned for baseball because he received money from gamblers or bookies to throw the 1919 World Series, but yet there's no evidence that he ever participated in the bribe. But I mean, based off of his performance, he had that. Like, you wouldn't think he tried to throw the World Series, is my point.
Right. No, I agree with you. I've been a strong proponent of putting Shoeless Joe in the Hall of Fame before Pete Rose.
Yeah, I would do that also.
To be honest. And a lot of people who I say that to are always like, no, why would you do that? Shoeless Joe's been dead for 60 years.
But, I mean, the Baseball Hall of Fame has inducted guys posthumously.
Yeah, no. But I'm saying what people's argument is, like, why would you be doing that? Like, who would that be for? His, like, great grandsons? Like, but I disagree with that argument. Obviously, I think it'd be great for baseball to posthumously put Shoeless Joe in the Hall of Fame. I mean, It's sad that they did it to Ron Santo. They do it all the time. You're right. They do put guys posthumously in the Hall of Fame, like Roberto Clemente, Ron Santo, guys like that. And I would think they'll eventually. I mean, at a certain point, Shoeless Joe's historians are just they're gonna protest out. They're gonna do like a Free Brady thing outside the MLB office. Dr. Ringle and all of his.
Just for the record, I didn't bring it up. Brian did. So.
Well, it was a protest. I was just trying to make a comparison.
Right, but you're bringing up now. It's totally like fucks everything.
Oh well, I'm sorry. I was just trying to make a comparison.
I was saying Ethan does. Yeah, Ethan did.
What?
But I didn't
bring it up. Brian did.
If it was up to me, I'd put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame as a player, not necessarily as a manager. Because when you're
he wasn't good at. I don't think he was even.
I'm doing this under the. What?
I don't think he was even at that. He was a better player than he was a manager.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I'm also doing this under the assumption that he gambled throughout his life when he was a player,
right?
And as a manager. But I think gambling on your team as a manager is a lot different than gambling on your team as a player. Because as a player, you're just gonna play your best. But if you're managing and you bet on your team, like, you're gonna manage like it's Game 7 of the World Series every single game.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly the comparison that I've heard too. Yeah. And it's like betting or gambling on your team as a manager is a lot worse because you'll make certain decisions differently to either like adjust the spread. I don't know how spreads work in baseball.
Neither do I.
But as a player, like, you're not gonna intentionally like try to strike out. I mean, that's just against basic instinct as a player. I mean, obviously he's the all-time hit leader, so obviously gambling on baseball didn't hinder his performance as a player.
I think we're going to have a form. Like, I think this is going to become a bigger issue next month when the All-Star game is in Cincinnati. And Rob Manfred has already said that Pete Rose is welcome to participate in the all the pregame ceremonies in Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati is pretty much the only place where Pete Rose is respected and loved. So Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I mean,
So
but
this is gonna be
it's just like Barry Bonds in San Francisco.
right. It's the only place where these people are, still revered. Pete Rose is still a god in Cincinnati. Like he's pretty much the greatest thing that's ever happened to that city, and it's going to be interesting to see how this comes up in the All-Star game,
Right.
because Pete Rose is probably going to be there. So there's going to be more pressure, and the commissioner of baseball is obviously going to be at the All-Star game. So
Right.
they're going to be in the same building at the same time. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Right.
They have to talk at some point.
Now, I mean, I don't think at this point now, I don't think Pete Rose is going to get reinstated into baseball
I agree.
or be named to the Hall of Fame just because of all the writers that are old-fashioned and are strongly against putting Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame, or even a lot of PED guys as well, and
Right.
and think the Hall of Fame is a sacred shrine, which it is. But at the same time, I feel like younger writers, or the new crop of writers like you and I, or as journalists, I feel like it's kind of like how society has changed and evolved more progressively over time,
Right.
whereas the views of certain issues change. Like my view on PEDs, if there's a guy that you could specifically say, oh, he started taking steroids at this date, at from this date going back, did he have Hall of Fame numbers like with Barry Bonds? If he did, then I would put him in. But yeah, and now with Pete Rose and gambling, I think a lot of the younger generation of writers look at that more progressively as well, and just they're looking more at his numbers as opposed to what he did off the field.
Right.
All right. I guess we should move on to the walk-off. Anybody want to?
I don't really have anything right
rolling
now, so I'm gonna need a minute to look up something.
Okay.
All right, Ethan, you want to go first?
I just kind of forgot what I was going to talk about. So, Sean, why didn't you go first?
Oh, man, what a struggle today.
Well, I was going to end it and then go into the outro.
Oh.
I usually do it.
Okay.
We could just not do the walk-off.
I'm okay with that. I have nothing. Like, I have absolutely no idea.
Okay. I have something, and this could have been a wild card last week, but I mean it just didn't make the wild card cut, by executive decision by me. But anyway, I'm talking about the All-Star Game voting, and how the Kansas City Royals fans totally abused the system, and there needs to be a change in how Major League Baseball does their All-Star voting. And I actually sent Brian an article by Ken Rosenthal the other day about how he would change.
Wasn't it Verducci? It was Verducci.
Oh yeah,
right?
no, it was Verducci. You're right.
Yeah,
a Sports Illustrated guy, and how he would change All-Star Game voting for the fans, and his proposition, and I totally agree with this, and I think it would be a cool idea, is to have a Major League Baseball All-Star Game election night, where polls open about 2 weeks before the All-Star Game, and and polls will open at like 9 a.m. on the East Coast and will close at 10 p.m. on the West Coast. And it would be like how like a presidential nomination would go, and that's how he described it. How like MLB Network would be covering this, and how even ESPN or Fox Sports One would cover this as well, and it would be like this whole huge thing and huge event which America loves. He said America loves the Super Bowl, the once in a lifetime boxing events and whatnot, and this way, I mean, you could still vote up to 35 times, but you can only vote during that one day. And you can watch the all-star votes and the results live time. Like, so you could, like, the example that he used at like 6 o'clock on the East Coast is like, oh, Clayton Kershaw is ahead of Madison Bumgarner for the NL All-Star to start the NL All-Star game, but we still have the West Coast. So let's see what the results would be of that. And I just think it's a great idea. It would make All-Star voting a lot more exciting, and I think honestly it would draw in more fans and make people or cause people to vote more, because I mean, honestly, like, they start the voting process in May, and like, I'm not even thinking about the All-Star game May 1st.
Right.
Like, and I just like, I forget to vote, to be honest with you. Like, I'll maybe go on it a few times, but I won't vote like 35 times that day. And so
like people in Kansas City.
Right, exactly. And it would also eliminate voter fraud, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just a great idea, and I think they should put it in place starting next year for the All-Star game.
I agree. I think that's a great idea. I'm ready to go. I thought of a topic, and I think you're gonna like it, Ethan.
Okay.
Before we get started, first off, I want to congratulate the local team where I live, the local NFL team, the Carolina Panthers, for the amazing job they've done assisting the victims of the tragedy in Charleston a couple of weeks ago. They've really done an excellent job representing their region. It doesn't have anything to do with what I'm going to rant about, but I just wanted to say that I really think what they're doing is a great thing. Cam Newton just visited Charleston, and Jerry Richardson donated $10,000 to each of the victims' families for funeral services, which I think is amazing, and he definitely deserves a lot of props for that. So there I am. I'm giving him some, so kudos to the Panthers for that. That has absolutely nothing to do with what I'm going to rant about, though. I just wanted to say it. Secondly, this week the NHL announced their plans to expand. I think, what is it, 2016, 2017 is when they said they were planning on expanding?
I guess so.
A lot of potential markets have been thrown around. Kind of the usual suspects: Las Vegas, Seattle, Quebec City, second team in Toronto, which would suck. They don't even deserve a first team. And honestly,
Hartford.
And I may just be a biased kid from Connecticut here, but Hartford gets lost in the shuffle a lot. And I think that it's time for the NHL to not return the Whalers to Hartford, but at least open your idea to the mind, or at least open your mind up to the idea that Hartford can be a viable NHL market again. I know it's tricky because, it's right in between New York and Boston. So most people there are either, New York sports fans or Boston sports fans. So it's really hard to have a team in Hartford. But a lot of people have said that the Whalers were like the Green Bay Packers of the NHL, kind of representing a smaller city as opposed to like a big metropolis. And that's what Hartford is. And I think it would be smart for the NHL to at least consider a return to Hartford. Unlike Las Vegas and unlike Seattle, there's past history there. The NHL has been successful in Hartford. They would have stayed if the owner was able to, or if the owner didn't want to move the team to a place that was better suited for him. And I think it's time for the NHL to at least open it up again. Like, Gary Bettman should at least tour Hartford and see that it's still a great hockey town. I know I've already petitioned for Charlotte to get a Major League Baseball team. Now it's time for Hartford to get an NHL team again.
Yeah, and he should take a visit to the Civic Center, not necessarily because that's where the Whalers would play, but just to see that they still hang the Whalers banners.
Right, which is so cool. And if the Whalers were to come back, first off, they would desperately need a new arena. That's the key to getting any professional sports back in Hartford. And right. Hartford loves the Yukon Huskies. They still love the Whalers. I think Hartford's an underrated sports market, and I think if the Whalers did come back, it would improve the city exponentially and really unite a lot of the state of Connecticut. I mean, I personally would not be a Whalers fan because I love the Rangers, but I think that a lot of people in Connecticut would go back on the Whale.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Connecticut, like you said, Brian, it would really unite like the state of Connecticut, and I think a lot of like. Other than Fairfield County, which is where you grew up and in the tri-state area, I think pretty much the entire state of Connecticut would embrace the Whale.
I mean, yeah, definitely. And even some people in Fairfield County probably would, to be honest. Some people. I mean, most people in Fairfield County are New York sports fans.
Right, so. and that's why I singled them out.
But, yeah, I know. I mean, I'm personally not going to abandon the Rangers.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, I've had too much fun with the Rangers to abandon them for the freaking Whalers. But I do want the NHL someday to return to Hartford.
And
what's the point in putting a team in Vegas? Like, Phoenix is failing right now, so you might just. Right. Why do you want to keep a team in the Southwest?
Yeah,
exactly.
There's no professional sports teams in any of the major sports in Vegas.
Well, there's a reason. There's a reason for that, and it kind of is based on what we were talking about before with Pete Rose and gambling.
Yeah, it would just be tricky.
Yeah, and I think
you also can't have a dedicated fan base in Las Vegas when there's 90% tourists.
Right. Yeah. And also another thing with bringing the Whalers back to Hartford, I think it would create a great new rivalries between the Rangers and the Islanders and the Bruins.
Yeah.
And I know back in the 90s and 80s, the Bruins Whalers rivalry was huge. It was is even better than the Rangers Bruins rivalry, which to me they don't really have a rivalry. What?
I didn't even know there was one.
What, the Rangers and Bruins?
Yeah, I don't even.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's my point.
Rangers rivals.
That's my point.
Bruins are just another team to me.
Right. Yeah. But I think bringing the Whalers back to Hartford would make it a lot of fun.
Now, it's not going to happen
New England
overnight, obviously. It's not going to happen anytime soon. Like, we're talking a while down the road.
Maybe like 2020.
Not even then. Like, it's going to take a while. But and a lot of these other cities are going to have to get teams first. But at least open up the idea.
Yeah.
Sean?
All right, I just want to give a shout out to the women's national team making it to the semifinals.
Yeah.
They're playing Germany on Tuesday, June 30th at 7 o'clock Eastern time. So I highly suggest everyone watch. They've been playing great soccer. They've been squeaking by mostly, but they've been playing absolutely phenomenal soccer. On the other side of the bracket, Australia and Japan are playing for the semifinal game, and they will play the winner of England and Canada. Both games are today, Saturday, June 27th. So this podcast will be out after those games wrap up. But it's going to be a great couple of weeks with the finals. I'm thinking USA is gonna play England in the finals.
Let's hope
Come
so.
on, our
Maybe
girls.
Japan again. Japan's
that would be epic.
Japan's nothing to mess with. They won it last year. Beat the US.
Beat us. Yep.
Not last year. Last
time,
Cup,
2011.
4 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah. So everybody watched the game on Tuesday, and then watched the final. Hopefully, America will be in the final on July 5th. Day after Independence Day. Hopefully we can pull that off.
That would be one heck of a way to kick off July 4th weekend.
Except
the World Cup
victory.
victory.
It's going to be on a Sunday.
Yeah, it's going to be on the Sunday.
A hell of a way to end the weekend.
Yeah. I think that's what he meant.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
I was, it was funny because last night I was at, you said kick off July 4th weekend, so.
No, I said
Sunday's
to
not
like
really
end July 4th weekend.
Well, anyway, last night before we went to the Orioles game, I was at the bar across the street from Camden Yards, and I was sitting next to this guy from Germany, and we were watching the France game, and he was into it, and he got our entire side of the bar into it also, and like we were all rooting for Germany to win, but then as soon as Germany won, and I realized, wait, crap, that means we're playing the #1 team in the world. Probably should have wanted France to win.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I don't know. That guy was happy, so I didn't want to let his hopes down.
Yeah. Again, watch the game June 30th, Tuesday, 7:00. Go USA. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Taking us out, we got Big Crit again with King of the South. Also, look up Big Crit. He's great.
Follow us on Twitter and Facebook.
And turn the music up.
Yeah.
Love you.
Bump that speakers.